I went from homeless at 15 to selling my company in 2016 to PricewaterhouseCoopers for more money than I'll ever need. And I did it all with no money and the knowledge I'm about to give you free today. I'm going to give you the exact framework to come up with $1 million business idea. If you can't sit down for 5 minutes and learn what I'm about to teach you, I've got some news for you. You're probably not going to make it. I've spent 30 years learning this knowledge and I'm going to give it to you for free. Sit down. Learn it. Today's video will really be broken into 4 parts. The first is the philosophy of business, the structure, the foundation you need to make it work. The second step is a business anybody can start. How to start it, what could it be, how you're going to make money. The third is an intermediate business, a business that takes you from no money to having some money to the 4th stage, which is a multi-million pound business. Those are the 4 stages we're going to go through. So let's get started. First up, I want you to identify what your end goal is, and don't make it retirement. Please don't make it retirement. That is exactly the trap that the existing system wants you to fall into. If you think about retirement as the time you can enjoy your life, you are f***ed, because that is a system, a treadmill you will never get off. So where do you really start? Where should you really focus? I want you to visualize your dream business. Now, I don't care how crazy the idea is. I don't care how much money the idea is going to cost. It's absolutely possible. So start visualizing. First step to building any business with no money that you love is visualize the business. What is its purpose? Now, I went into purpose in my previous video, so I'm not going to go deep on purpose and how to find purpose. I put that all in the other video. Today is about how to get it going, how to make it work, and how to get where you want to go. But you still need purpose at the beginning. Everything starts with purpose. It's not a woo-woo word. They deliberately don't teach you it at school. Learn what it means. Start asking yourself, what is your purpose? Purpose. That's the first thing. Second is end game. What is success for you? What is it? Is it having spare time? Right, okay, well, what are you going to do with that spare time? I think spare time, when people say that's their end game, to be retired, is because what they're doing presently doesn't excite them. So we have to make sure what your end goal is something you're excited about, so you don't want to retire, because retirement is for those that hate what they do. And this video is here to help you love what you do and have the skills to get there. So figure out what your end game is and try to not make it sitting on some beach doing nothing, because that is not what life's about. I think it's about making a difference in this world. The third step is name your end dream, whatever it is. So my end dream is a business called Free Humanity. When I was younger, I thought about all the people that are trapped like I was, and I thought that's not right. And I had this idea in my head, Free Humanity. Name it, name where you're going. That I did it, I've done it, this is how I got where I am today, from nothing to multimillionaire, because I named my dream. I named it. I made it real. So name it. There's a few ways to make this business happen really quick, and one of them is luck. I always tell people, try your luck. Once you know what you're trying to do, you know what your vision is, you have a name for it, you might get stuck in a lift with a millionaire very soon. You might end up walking somewhere and suddenly bumping into Elon Musk. Be ready, try your luck. You can pitch this, now you have this framework instantly. Now, I'm pretty sure the luck element of this idea will not click in. I don't like to rely on luck. We can hack luck. I'm going to talk about that in depth a little bit later. But the ultimate thing here is be ready for luck. Luck often happens when you're prepared. So be ready. Try your luck. Okay? But I'm pretty sure that luck piece is random and cannot be predicted. I want to give you practical ways of getting there, and this luck piece right now at this stage is not practical enough for me. So the 5th step is pick a role model, not a mentor. Too many people think they need a mentor. You ask someone to be a mentor, most people haven't got time, especially the good ones. Stop asking for people to be your mentor. Instead, pick a role model. And if you see people out there doing something that inspires you, doing something that you admire, follow them, learn everything about them, get deep, and maybe even look to see if you can work with them. Pick a role model. Now, I'm going to get to the juicy bits in a minute. How to actually start a business with no money, how to grow a business with no money, how to make lots of money. I know you guys want to hear that. But this groundwork I'm giving you now is so vital. Number 6, think about the questions you need to ask to get the answers to this big idea. This big idea might be so big, it's like a mountain. You can't move a mountain, right? But you can move a mountain by moving one small rock at a time, one small question at a time. What do you need to ask, and who do you need to ask it of? Get a notepad, write down every day you're going to come up with a new question. How do I manufacture my product? Where do I get it checked to make sure that it's safe? How can I sell it? Where do I sell it? What price should I sell it for? All the questions you can think of, write them down, and then you're going to find people. I'm going to help you. Find people that can answer those questions. Number 7, everything is step by step. Be patient. I know you want to get there quickly. I want you to get there quickly. I wanted to get there quickly, but it's a step-by-step process. You have to be patient. Think about the steps, visualize them, manifest them, but just be patient and remember, it's step by step. I bought a staircase in Twickenham to symbolize this. It is so important, one step at a time. And that's what I'm going to talk through with this video today. What are the steps? You might have yourself already a few steps ahead, so that's great. We'll get to where you are in your steps. But getting anywhere is a step-by-step process. And I'm so pleased I am where I am today. I didn't want to get here quicker either, because if you go up too quick, you come down too quick. You see anybody famous, they become suddenly famous, and I see them fall just as quick, right? Do it step by step. Build the foundations. Enjoy the journey in this step-by-step process. Learn to breathe in and breathe out and enjoy the journey, step by step. If you're getting any value from this video, I ask you to subscribe. I know you get sick and tired of people asking you to do that on these videos, but I'm asking you to do it because the more people that subscribe, the more people I can help. And the more people that subscribe, the more dreams come true. Now, we've got the philosophy in lock. You know exactly what you need to do. There's some homework for you to do there. Let's move on to what I call think small. Now, in the think small strategy for starting a business, the way you need to think about it is, where can you get the money and knowledge to start your big dream? And I think often it lies in what I did, which is I started a service company, a gardening company. Now, at the time, it was not glamorous. I had people my age teasing me. It was not easy to do a gardening business because no one wanted to do a gardening business. Everyone wanted to go get a fancy job, sound cool from a young age. I dug in literally and built a gardening company. And I want you to think small. I want you to put aside image and peer pressure and just think about your life later if you do the thing that no one else wants to do right now. At one point, I was picking strawberries all day long. Certainly not sitting on YouTube getting millions of views as I am today. You have to think small to get big. And I know it's painful, and I know it's hard, but if you can reset your mind and think it's step by step, you can change everything. So what you have to ask yourself is, what are you good at? I know right now you might not think you're good at anything. Stop thinking that way. You can pick strawberries. Now, I know it's not glamorous. I know it. You're not going to make it if you can't change this mindset. You've got to do the things when you're younger in particular. You've got to do the things to build the foundation to do great things. You've got to take a step back, drop your ego and figure out how can you build something that you own, that you control. You're in control of the day. Build a brand, not a business. You've got to do this by starting small. Now, it might not be a gardening company. It could be a car washing company. It could be a window cleaning business. I want to give you something more glamorous. I want to say you can start selling your own products. You can do all of these things. You just got to start. Don't make it the end goal. Don't think it has to be the big idea. It has to be the most special thing in the world. Think small, do something. I know you don't get many people giving you this advice. I know it's the truth though. It's how I did it. I started with a gardening company. That gardening company gave me the ability to learn all the skills I'm about to go through with you. Sales, marketing, hiring people. You get all these skills by doing something. And if you're lucky and you do something, luck definitely plays a role, you can actually make money at it. Now, the second thing you need to do, once you've accepted that you're willing to do something, is pick that thing and start executing on it. So let's say it's a gardening company. Now, as soon as you start thinking, right, I'm going to do a gardening company, I know what's going through your mind straight away. Like, I don't have any money for the equipment and I don't have time because I've got a job right now, so how am I going to do it, right? The first step is believing you're going to do it. The second step is selling it to someone. It's that simple, right? Selling it to potential people that come and help you do it, selling it to people that would let you take care of their gardens. I just think people don't realize that you create your own reality. And literally, and maybe you should just do this as an exercise, walk up to a house with a big garden and knock on the door. Do it today and say, "Hi, my name's John and I've got a gardening company. Would you let me take care of your garden?" If they tell you to sod off or they say no, you've lost nothing. It's a great training exercise to go into the real world, because I might go through all this stuff in this video with you, but we all know you memorize things by doing them. So I want you to go knock on the door today and ask someone if you can clean their windows. This is what's going to happen. They're going to say yes, or they're going to say no, or they're going to do the buying sign and ask you how much. Have a price ready, pick a number. It doesn't really matter how much. Let's say 50 quid, let's say 100 quid. Don't underprice it, by the way, because then they'll be scared you're not actually going to do a good job. So try to price it fair, and then you're going to say to me, "Simon, I don't have the equipment to clean the windows. I don't have the equipment to do the gardening." Use the equipment of the customer you've just asked. Give them a discount if they let you use their bucket, use their water, use their cleaning materials. Of course, have some backup. I mean, you probably can afford surely 5 quid's worth of window cleaning materials. Come on, loser. I'm joking, you're not a loser. I just did that to make Callum laugh. The point I'm trying to make here is, don't make excuses, okay? Your mind will always tell you not to do things because you're lazy. Humans are naturally lazy. These jobs will initially sound hard. I have cleaned windows. I have dug up gardens. I'm telling you right now, it was more fun than I thought it was going to be. Did I want to do it forever? Of course not. Did I have to do it? Yes. This is the first step you need to take to make your dream happen. You need to make your want a need. You need to stop saying to yourself you want to be successful, because if you're saying to yourself you want to be successful, it's not going to happen. You know why? Because you don't need it. You need to start saying, if I don't make it happen, I'm I know with all my heart the reason I'm successful today is not because I'm smart. It's not because I had any money. I can't even read. The reason I'm successful is because I had no choice. There was no backup plan. I couldn't stay in my mum's spare room. She kicked me out. I had nobody. I had nothing. It was a good thing. I want you to experience this because it drives you to knock on that door and push through your monkey brain that tells you not to do it. I need you to need it for this to work. For the rest of this video won't work unless you need it. I've seen people in their 30s get really unfit and they want to go to the gym. They're always telling me they want to go to the gym. And then one day they go to the doctor and the doctor says, "You're about to get diabetes. You're about to get very sick." The next day they're in the gym and they don't look back. That's what you need to do. You need to think you're going to die if you don't make it happen. It's dramatic and extreme, but it works. You've got to believe if you don't go and clean that window today in that house for that amount of money, if you don't need it, if you don't say to yourself, you're going to die if you don't do it, you probably won't do it. Tell your mind you're going to die if you don't do it. I know it sounds extreme, but it works. Now, the fourth step, I've touched on a little bit already, but I want to dig into it. The idea generation. Now, when I say the word idea, you might think this goes back to what are you good at? It definitely has a parallel. If you're good at something, ideally you enjoy it. Like I actually didn't mind doing gardening. Definitely got sick of it and brought other people in to do it in the end. But I think that idea, try to make even this stage something you enjoy, right? So for example, bring your friends in, work with your mates. It's fine. Then you can have a laugh while you're building something together. You know, like make it fun. And I think that word fun is not used enough in business. I don't hear anybody talking about the word fun. And honestly, the only reason I've kept going most of the time, because I went from want to need, and now I don't need it. So how did I keep going? Because it was fun. And later I'll get into how you build a big business, because that's a whole different philosophy. But I'm telling you now, make it fun. Give yourself that. Why not? Why can't these jobs be fun? You will talk about this with your mates later, how you started this amazing business by building businesses at the beginning, right? So make the idea something you are actually enjoying, ideally something you find interesting, and make it fun. The next step is understanding something I've always hated myself. Something that will help you start all of these things with no money. And that is how money works. Accounting is the official terminology. The biggest hack I ever learned in building all the businesses that I've built is learn to charge people 50% upfront for the service. So if it's a gardening company, a graphic design company, a consultancy, a dog walking company, all of them, when you've got no money, start with a simple accounts philosophy. I charge everybody 50% in advance as a deposit. That 50% covers all of your costs, including your living costs, to do the work that I'm talking about. Then, when you get paid the remaining 50%, when you've walked that dog and the dog got back safe, you get the final 50% at the end of each month. That's your profit. It's a simple structure that nobody seems to follow that guarantees you that your cost of living are covered and your profit is just a matter of time. Now, you'll get a lot of pushback from people. Some people will say, I won't pay 50%. Forget those customers, don't work with them. Pick and choose your customers. I haven't gone into that much today, this point. Actually, you should pick and choose your customers. Don't let these people determine whether or not your business works. If people won't pay your terms, find someone else. There's plenty of people who have dirty windows. There's plenty of people who need a garden that needs taken care of. There's plenty of people who need their dog walking. If people don't accept your payment terms, then move on from those people. It's a good way of also filtering out these idiots. I call this the 50% rule. Lock it in. Be confident. Sell the 50% rule or do not work with these people. It will manage your cash flow and ensure your business with no money works. Number 6, slightly controversial at this point. And I've been thinking about how to explain this because it's actually quite complicated and almost sounds like I'm going against the very thing I'm telling you to do, right? But hear me out. Everybody in my company generally has equity. I believe in giving equity to the team. Well, they've earned it in fairness, but I believe people should have equity where they work, right? So I'm not a hypocrite, and people get equity where they work, including where they work for me. But there is one person who right now doesn't have equity. I won't name them because they might be embarrassed. But they've done a very clever thing that I think you should also consider. So he's come to work with me and he works hard and diligently helping us make content like this. But he has a dream to launch a clothing brand. So what he's doing is he's helping me to build what I'm doing to help him with a clothing brand he wants to do one day. Now, I will be a shareholder in that future clothing brand. And what I'm going to say to you now might go against everything you've ever heard me say. Get a job somewhere, but not just anywhere. Get a job at a place that can support you to do your dream. Bizarrely, in the interview, tell them, when they say, where do you see yourself in 5 years or some bull like that, don't tell them what they want to hear. Don't tell them, sitting in this chair in your office working for this company. That's what you want to say. That's the truth that they want to hear. Don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. Tell them the truth. Say, if you go work, for example, at Gymshark, tell Ben Francis, who I've interviewed in my podcast, by the way, tell him, I want to open up my own clothing brand one day, and I'm coming here to learn how to do it. I promise you, you're more likely to get the job if you say this, and you're setting the relationship up with your employer honestly and straightforwardly from day one. Why would anyone want to go work in a job and be stuck there for the rest of their life? Tell the person who's interviewing you the truth. 2 things happen when you do this. First of all, well, maybe 3 things happen if you tell them this. Let's do the 2 positives first. The first is the person interviewing you will probably laugh, and that person interviewing you will probably resonate because they're probably doing a job they fucking hate. So they're probably suddenly going to relate to you a little bit more and like the honesty. The second thing is they'll probably give you a job to help you get there. So in a department that links to what you're trying to do. So you might say, I want to learn how manufacturing works. Well, let's get you a job in the manufacturing sourcing side of the business. I want to learn how retail works. Well, let's get you a job on the front line of retail then. Once you know what you're trying to achieve, maybe they'll help you. And I've seen this happen. This has happened with me when people have told me what they really want. I've been able to help them do it, right? The third option is they don't give you the job. All good. Them. They were never going to help you anyway. So it's good. You just filtered out a job. So I'm going to write this down. It goes against my grain. Get a job. Well, I'd never write that down. But remember, not just any job. One that aligns with your mission and your purpose. I don't particularly like this option, but I understand when you've got no money and you want to get somewhere in life, it can be a stepping stone. Just don't get trapped there. Salary is a drug that will trap you forever. Don't start buying as soon as you get a salary to then mean every first of the month you need that money, because nothing I'm going to tell you now will ever happen in the next stage if you get addicted to that salary. Now, in this Think Small strategy, there's a couple of side points. You may have a business that's doing gardening. Great. You may now have a client paying you 50% upfront. Brilliant. You might even be building a brand of value. You can sell this brand later to someone else that wants to do a gardening company. You can bring someone else in to run this business later. I'm going to talk about this in a minute. But the most important thing is you also think not just what we call horizontal business, which is the actual business. So the business is gardening, right? You've also got to think vertically. So vertical thinking in business is where you think, right, how else can I make money out of the business that's hard work, right? Because cleaning windows, doing gardens, all of these jobs is hard work. How else can you make money? A good example of this is the guys that clean swimming pools. You've probably seen them around, right? They're just cleaning swimming pools. Who wants to clean swimming pools? But they video before and after, and those videos are blown up. You may have seen Macca Group. These are two twins that we're helping right now. They're basically cleaning up areas in London and they're videoing it. They have a cleaning company. No one really wants to clean, right? But they have a cleaning company. Now they're cool because their videos are blown up on the internet. They actually pictured our doorbell and they cleaned my staircase. They did the thing, they put it up online, it got millions of views. They make money from the videos, right? I make money from this video. Right? I give this money away to fund people's dreams and build infrastructure to help people for free, but I'm making content that I enjoy, and it doesn't sound cool, does it, to sit in a cold podcast studio, because it is cold today, write on a whiteboard for 6 hours, sharing knowledge with you. It doesn't sound like fun, right? As I said earlier, you've got to make it fun. You've got to think about the long term and use vertical thinking to make some extra money. One of the keys to vertical income is owning the client relationship. This is why I don't really like MLM type businesses, and I'm not a big fan of some elements of dropshipping, because there's two ends you need to make a business work today and for your future self. These future things I'm about to tell you, you need the relationship with the product supplier. Ideally, you own the product, whatever that is. So for example, in window cleaning, eventually, really, you want your own window cleaning products. Right? That's a vertical that's scalable. You want to own the products, and then you want to own the client relationship. So you're the person that goes to the house initially and has that client relationship. But eventually, hopefully if a scalable business, that client feels loyal to you. If someone else turns up and says, "Hi, I would like to clean your windows," you say, "No, don't worry. I've already got Simon Squibb doing it. Why would I get anyone else to do it? He's brilliant. And he helps me pick up my kids from school sometimes. And sometimes he does this and sometimes he does that." Now, it's not scalable initially. Relationships initially are not scalable. Don't think about a relationship as a commodity. Think about a relationship as an organic, growing thing. As you build a brand, the people will trust a brand. It doesn't have to be you. We're going to come into brand building a bit later because it's key to scale. But initially, you are the brand. Just accept it. And if you can make a relationship with the client, eventually, bizarrely, I'm going to talk about it later, these people could be your investors in your future business. These people could be your clients. I had a business that sold coasters with ads on them. That same person who bought that coaster also ended up buying my agency services, also ended up being an investor with me in businesses, and also ended up investing in the business I run today, helpback.com. And it all started with them buying a coaster with an ad on it. I did 15 years ago. Right, next up, I'm going to teach you the middle ground. This is not the end goal. This is not your dream business. This is, you've started a business. Now you're going to have a middle ground business. We're going to get into it, and then you're going to get the $1 million+ business that you want. Patience, middle ground. Let me teach you how this works. This stage is where most people fall over. There's a couple of reasons why people can't do the middle ground. One is they've actually got stuck in the stage I've just taught you about, and you make yourself the most important person in the business we just created. And that's a big mistake. You have to enjoy the business, lean into it, definitely at the beginning. Get your hands dirty, for example, clean the windows. But we need to scale up. And that's what this stage is about. But a lot of people get trapped in the earlier stage. Now, the middle ground business is where you start compounding what you've learned, building the previous business. It is actually, I'm going to come to a much harder stage, which of course is turning it into a multi-million-pound business. But this stage, ironically, is the stage I got stuck at myself for quite a long time. So when I built my agency business, the problem is I enjoyed it too much, and I made myself the only person who could sell for the longest time. And the business didn't have a strong enough purpose. So in middle ground, the first step to conquering middle ground is remind yourself where you want to go. What I said at the beginning of the video, right? Remember your end goal. Now, a lot of people who don't make it into middle ground scale-ups have fallen into the same trap that a job traps you into. You've got just enough to get by, you've got kind of an okay life, you've got used to cleaning windows and you quite like it, and you kind of got trapped. And you have to remind yourself your end goal, right? Write it on the wall, write it on your hand, tattoo it on your arm, whatever you need to do, remember the end goal, right? It's easier to run a big company than a small company, despite what you've been told. All these bosses you have make you think running a big company is hard. It's not. When my company was big, I was on the golf course all day because I could afford middle management. I could afford people to run the day-to-day. I want you to get this clear in your head. Running a small business does not mean an easier life. It's not true. I've run small businesses and I've run huge businesses, and I'm so glad I ran the huge businesses to learn this. Now, I want to get you there, but you have to know this to be true. Otherwise, you won't get there. You'll get trapped just like you did in a job, just like you will with a small business. Don't get trapped. Middle ground is about framing it to understand the truth, the very thing you haven't been taught, that owning a big business is easier than owning a small business. Mindset. Oh, it's easier to run a big business than a small business now. I didn't know it back then, but what I did notice is every time I hired someone good, my life got a little easier, right? So you have to learn to hire people in the middle ground. And this is where everything starts to interlink. The end stage I'm going to go into later, this stage, and what I've just told you all interlink. If you want to hire people, right? Most people make a big mistake when they hire people. They hire people to do a job, do the gardening. They don't hire people with this idea of what I call purpose, right? Because if you hire people right, you don't have to manage people, you manage purpose. I've said it in a previous video. I'm going to keep saying the same stuff because it's all interlinked. When you hire someone, and it's key, this middle ground, you have to hire people. You cannot grow, you cannot scale. So, for example, you might hire someone to run your window cleaning business, and now you're just going to take 50% of the profit instead of 100%. But you're free, and you've got compound, you've got client relationships, maybe you've learned how to build a brand, but you need to hire people. You need to hire people to replace you. Part of that hiring process is you need to move often from what I call generalists, people that can do anything, to specialists. So in the window cleaning example, you might have initially just hired people that clean windows. Great. Now you need to hire people that do just sales all day and knock on doors. And then you need to hire people that are specialists in cleaning windows, and they do it the fastest and they do it the best. And then you need to hire an account system to manage it. You need to hire an upsell service operator, someone that goes and upsells to these clients. Perhaps you also need to start getting a finance department to raise money to buy vans. So you now need a finance management and upgrade department. You need a vehicle management specialist. You need to start thinking about the business in sections to scale it. Now, your existing business that you built might still have that feeling of being a business you don't want. So here's another option. Instead of hiring people, that business and going to the middle ground, sell the company. That's what I did. I sold the first two businesses that I ever built for next to nothing. But the good thing about that whole process is I built something up, I learned how I did it, and I sold it and made a little bit of money. More money back into the kitty to allow you to do something else. It gives you confidence and it gives you a little bit of capital. Now, my first business I sold for £50,000, and I am going to try and teach you how to sell a company later in the video, and how I sold businesses is actually art in itself that you can learn. This middle ground stage, I really want to make sure that you don't make a classic mistake at this stage. When I sold that company, everybody told me, put the money into property. So I looked at property, I almost did it. I'm so glad I didn't. I looked at property and I could have bought a house, and I could have put this £50,000 into that house, right? So then what? Well, that house might triple over the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, fine, right? Buy a house, change the locks, rent it out. I learned nothing with that £50,000. Nothing, except how to buy property and change the lock on the door, right? Instead, what I did is I took that money and I put it into something scalable. I was willing to risk it all, and I put it into something scalable. And I know it sounds crazy because buying a property is safe. Buy 5 properties, buy 10 properties, but you won't have this end goal life that you want if you do this, in my opinion. A lot of people are going to disagree with me in the comments. Buying property, passive income, blah, blah, blah. It's a business, it's an evil business. That aside, it won't teach you what you need to know to get where you need to go. See this money that you make from potentially selling your company as the stepping stone to something much bigger, much more exciting. Buying a property and renting it out is just like getting a job, just like staying in a business you don't love. Don't let these things own you. That's what happens when you own a property. Someone will ring you up at 3 o'clock in the morning wanting you to fix their washing machine. Is this what you want to be doing for the rest of your life? Is this a purpose, overcharging a nurse for a house so you can get the maximum yield out of it? No. Do what I did. Take this money and apply it to the next stage of your development. Invest in yourself, not stocks and shares, not a property, in yourself. I'm going to talk about how to sell a company a bit later because it's actually quite a detailed subject. But I want you to get this in your head. One way to go to the middle ground is hire people. One way to go to this middle ground is sell a company. But it all requires you to have the right mindset, a long-term mindset. Don't take short-term gains. Don't tell me, I bought a property and I'm renting it out. And don't be proud of that, right? That is not a thing, that's not business. That's not real business in my opinion. The middle ground stage is all about getting access to a bigger network. They always say your network is your net worth. I kind of hate that saying because I had no network when I left home. I had no network when I left school. You build a network by asking the right people the right question. I talked about this earlier. You don't need to have the right network. But one way to get the right network is to do this. Buy in to businesses you love. Now, when I say buy in, you might be like, well, middle ground, have I got any money? Maybe if you've sold a company, you have. Maybe if you've hired someone to run your business, you've got some income coming in now. But even if you've got no money, think about getting equity in a business that you like. This is what I did. I actually helped someone else start their business and I gave them support and advice. And in return, they gave me equity. This equity became very valuable, right? Get equity in businesses. Not stocks and shares. You have no influence over buying Tesla or buying Apple. You can't make that business more successful with your influence, with what you've just learned through this video. You can't make any difference to the stock market price. But if you own equity in an actual company, let's say, for example, it's the corner shop, which you may judge right now. Go buy equity in that corner shop and then you can help them get more customers. You can help that shop be cooler. You can perhaps bring a product into that shop, your own product, maybe even later, and sell it in that shop. See how consumers interact. And you can make money having a percentage in someone else's dream, helping someone else with their dream. Own equity where you work and own equity where you put your energy. By the way, at this stage, I'm a little bit conscious that this might be getting complicated. And you might be thinking, well, I haven't even done stage 1 yet, Simon, so why am I getting into this stage 2? You kind of need to know all the stages to be able to make it. So you need to know the whole story arc of how this works so that the beginning bit works. So as much as I told you earlier, go knock on doors, you have to know the whole process to reverse engineer it when you start. If you start and you don't know the full process that I'm trying to describe to you now, you won't know when you see it, the holes in the ground you can fall into when trying to build this all out, right? You might sell the business and put it into property and fall in a hole, back to like a shit life, okay? So you need to watch all of this to get the full story arc. And I just mentioned earlier, I was going to throw some big names out of people that have done this. When I say these names, you're going to be like, well, they're famous now, they've got lots of money. It's easy. They all started, this process is exactly the same they have done. For example, Mr. Beast, he has done this. Do you know what he did? You know what his skill is? You know I said earlier, what is your skill? And apply it. He could basically count. He could read the dictionary. So he read the dictionary on a live stream. And what did that turn into? One of the biggest YouTubers in the world, right? He didn't have any money. He sat in his bedroom and read out the dictionary. And so everybody, Gary Vee, you know what he did? He went and got a job with his dad, right? And what did he do when he was working with his dad? Well, he did a little video channel called Wine Library. It wasn't that popular. And he just drank wine. He was good at drinking wine. You could tell what good wine was. And that turned into probably one of the biggest entrepreneur media brands in the world today. Second only to mine, of course. Point I'm making, if you actually dig into anybody that's built a big business, you'll discover they started off following this exact process that I'm telling you now. So number 6 in middle ground that you have to learn and you have to do, this is the time where you start sharing your story. By this point, you should have built up some credibility. You've built up, hopefully, a freedom machine. Sometimes how I describe it. You've learned how to make money. You've learned how to get a business going. You've got a business, but it's working. Now is the time to really start sharing your dream, manifesting it. You have to start telling everybody what your end goal is, including the people you hire, including the people you meet, everybody. And I believe you should try to ground that story in a personal story linked to you, right? The number one thing in sales that no one ever teaches you is that sales is actually a very personal thing. It's exactly the same when it comes to selling yourself. Ideally, you think about things very differently to how school taught you, right? School teaches you to think about what job you'll do when you grow up. It's a mistake. They ask you, what will you do when you grow up, young man? It traps you into thinking about a job. The right way to think, I've said it before and I'll say it again in case you didn't watch my previous video, is you've got to think, what problem will I solve when I grow up? What problem will you solve? So for example, with me, why am I doing all this free content? Why am I so obsessed with helping people for free? It's because at 15 years old, when I started a business, no one helped me. This video didn't exist. I struggled, I had pain, I found it hard. I almost went bankrupt quite a few times. I had depression, I was sick, all because I didn't have the knowledge to get me where I wanted to go, right? It motivates me today. You need that. You need that motivation. And if you don't have it right now, you can hack it by hanging out with someone that's got it. So this is the 6th point. Share your story. Try to link what you want to do in the end, hopefully by now you've figured it out, to that story. And then finally, work with people who have purpose. Bring purpose into your life in every way you can. Ideally, bring people into the business, this next stage, who have the same mission as you, care about the same problems as you, right? And at the same time, go work with, in any way you can, people you see who have purpose, because it's infectious. A lot of people don't know what purpose looks like because they're only really looking at, I don't know, someone walking around smoking a cigar, talking about all their fancy cars, and then try to sell you a course. They're not necessarily purposeful. They have a mission to sell you a course, right? And have a fancy lifestyle for themselves. Do you really want to hang around with someone like that? You want to hang around with someone that's actually making a difference, in my opinion. I don't know who that might be for you. It might be someone out there that you admire. Go hang out with them. This is the hard bit for the middle ground. If you want to go and hang out with people with purpose, it might be that you have to do free stuff for those people. I don't like people doing anything for free. In fact, I find it really hard to ask for help and get anything for free myself. But you need to start investing in this next stage, this middle ground stage, and do more stuff for free, which may sound counterintuitive to everything you've ever heard when it comes to business. But I made my middle ground stage of my life work because I started off with a gardening company and it was but I made some money, right? I then took that money and I started a job initially, weirdly, in a hotel as a consultant. And then in that hotel, I noticed something. That hotel was taking phone calls from people and saying, sorry, we're full. The hotel was full. And the receptionist would slam the phone down. And I thought, that's a waste of a lead. We spent a lot of money getting that person to ring the hotel. The hotel's full. They're happily putting the phone down. The receptionists are smiling. How, we're full, sorry, bye. What a waste. So I had an idea. Why don't we help that person who's ringing up find them another hotel room instead of just hang the phone up on them? It's better customer service as well, right? So that's what we started doing. We started for free, helping these people. We're full today, but there's a hotel down the road, the Four Seasons. It's not as good as us, ha ha ha, but we can try and get you a room there if that will help. And they went, oh sure, thanks, that's amazing. We'll call you back. So customer service for free. And then we realized, well, when we made a booking with another hotel, they pay us a 15% commission. So now we're making 15% on that person we were hanging up on before, right? So by doing something free, by perhaps taking a step back, like I actually got this kind of consultancy job type thing, after having a successful business of my own, it gave me insight and access to a whole new idea. Now, there is another way to do it, which I didn't do back then, but I wish I had done. And that is, and this is quite extreme, you've sold your company, you've made a bit of money, or you've got some income from your existing business. Travel. See the world. I went to Hong Kong at 23 years old. It blew my mind. I used to think England was special. It had roads and police, and I don't know why I thought it was special, but it was, in my mind, this special democracy. And then I went and lived in other cities and I realized just how much England had lacking. Now, that's both good and bad. It humbled me, but it also gave me insight into how the world works. There's always arbitrage between what one country has and what another country has. And you can learn through arbitrage. I can talk about arbitrage later in the video, but arbitrage will help you understand. You need to understand the world to understand arbitrage. If you don't know what's happening in Hong Kong or Australia and what the difference between where you are now and this other country is, you're missing out on huge opportunities, huge. Don't care what business it is, you're missing out on huge opportunities. So if you can, it doesn't sound very businessy, but travel. Now, the way I traveled is I got work, consultancy work in Hong Kong. So someone offered me a consultancy gig in Hong Kong for 6 months. I went there for that. That paid for everything for me to get there. Plus, I just made some money from my company. So I took that money. When I got to Hong Kong, it blew my mind. I went there in 1997 when everyone was leaving Hong Kong because Hong Kong was being handed back to the Chinese. And what I noticed as everyone left was all these great creative service providers, graphic designers, web designers, all English people living in Hong Kong were leaving because they thought communist China's coming, right? Nothing changed, by the way, initially when Hong Kong handed back to the Chinese, but I digress. The point I'm trying to make here is that I built a huge business by taking money I made and having a holiday, by taking the money I made and traveling, by going somewhere new, educating myself on the world. Because this middle ground, if I was to sum it up, is about education and growth. It is painful, it is hard, it might seem like you're wasting the money you just made doing the work you didn't want to do, but it's not. It's an investment in you. That's the best investment you can ever make. Don't buy a house, it's not an investment in you at this stage. Don't buy stocks and shares, it's not an investment in you at this stage. Go out there, see the world. It's possible if you believe it's possible. I slept on a friend's couch in Hong Kong. I didn't go spend all the money as soon as I got there. Then I saw this market cap, and that's when I moved into the final stage I want to teach you today. Go big or go home. Now we're going to build your dream business. And even if you don't know what your dream is yet, this framework will help you build anything. Now, the good news is, if we've done the previous stages correctly and you built the framework, you actually have a lot of options. In some respects, too many options. You need to make sure you remember some of the early principles that we talked about. What is success for you? Not everybody wants to be a billionaire. You should know what success is. And once you know it, we can move into this stage and get it for you. The best way for me to tell you this stage, and I struggle with trying to explain the intricacies of it, is maybe through my own story. So, I've done stage 1 and 2. I sold my company Fluid to PricewaterhouseCoopers for more money than I ever need. I'm liquid, which may seem so far away from where you are now. I will just say one thing. You don't need to have sold your company for a lot of money at this stage to actually still make it. Why? Here's the irony. This go big or go home stage, if it's big enough, you don't need money to do it either. Now, I have money, and here's the weird thing. I pretend like I don't have it. Why? Because I probably wouldn't be sitting in this studio today recording this video for the whole day if I knew what I could actually be doing with all the money I've got in the bank, right? I could be sitting in Bali on the beach, right? So part of this stage, really strangely, and you might have to come back and watch this later in your life to see that I'm right, you've got to act like you've got no money. Here's the irony, which is exactly the opposite. It's probably everything you've ever thought about when it comes to making something really huge happen. An example of this, you may have heard recently that WeWork's founder, Adam Neumann, raised a load of money for a new business. This is a guy that's worth $1 billion from the scam that is WeWorks. And today, he raised a load of money to start a new business. He actually acts like he's got no money because he has to go out and raise money. Why? Because if you've got a big idea and you've got a big dream, you need to validate it. I have done the same. I can fund the business I've got today with the money I've got in the bank forever. But I've still gone out there and kept the cost down of the business. I've thought about how to build the business step by step, not like all those morons that go build a business, throw loads of money at it, and the business collapses, right? 23andMe was a good example recently, for example. Go Google it. They raised loads of money, big hype, and then they died, right? The world is littered with businesses like this. Follow this rule. Build slowly. Act like you've got no money. And by acting like you've got no money, but having all that knowledge, which is priceless, all this compound experience, if you're willing to dig up gardens and clean windows, you're willing to build a business like no one else is willing to build a business. So ironically, this final stage, you don't need money to do it. You don't need money to build a £100 million business. I'm doing it today. I've done it today. This isn't something I'm telling you in retrospect or as a theory, as a 23-year-old with an idea. I'm telling you, I've done it. I'm dyslexic. I left school not able to read and write. I was homeless. I had no money. I had no help. I had no skills. And I have made it, and so can you. But when you get to this stage, you need to know you don't need money. You need what we've just learned. If you have money, you're likely to fail at this stage. A lot of people start at this stage without doing the previous 2 stages. You have a competitive advantage if you start with nothing, and you have a competitive advantage to go big and go home if you've got the compound knowledge I've just taught you, and you're at this stage, you've got to act like you've got no money. So if you're watching this video 6 years from now and you've made a load of money, watch out. It can make you lazy, it can trap you, it can make you lose your hunger for life. This stage, the most important thing is you have a purpose. Everything I told you at the beginning of this video, this stage is about purpose. You're here now. Do not think you need money to be here. The second stage, to go big or go home, this is what I call wax on, wax off. I don't know if you've ever seen Karate Kid, but in that movie, and I don't want to ruin it for you if you haven't seen it, but a young kid wants to learn karate. So the teacher makes him paint fences, and the teacher makes him clean cars. And the guy who's learning is getting upset. It's like, I don't want to be painting your fence or cleaning your cars. I don't want to do any of this. I want to learn karate. Teach me karate. But of course, painting a fence is up and down. Cleaning a car is round and round, right? And what do you do in karate? Up and down, around and round, right? I've just taught you to paint fences and clean cars because now you're going to be a karate expert. But you have to step up and believe it, right? So wax on, wax off is about you realizing how far you've come. Now you might be actually at this stage now, right? You might actually have the skills to do it, to do your idea. You've got no money, great. You've learned to wax on or wax off and not let anyone judge you for painting fences and cleaning cars, right? Now you're ready to be Karate Kid. It's a movie, by the way. The first one's good, the old one. The new one's no good. Don't watch the new one, watch the old one. The third step in go big or go home is crucial. You personally need to move from a generalist to a specialist. So when I started out in my career, I was a generalist. I would do the gardens, I would do the sales, I would do everything to make that business work. Now, it's good to have that groundwork, but now you need to be a specialist. So what are you going to be really good at? And what are you going to focus on? So some leaders of companies, all they do is hire people. I'm a marketing person, I love marketing. So I want to do everything around the marketing stuff, of any business that I'm involved in. Become a specialist, not a generalist. Dig in. And I don't know where you are in this journey, like how many years it's taking you to get to where I'm talking about now. Maybe you're already there, but learn a particularly deep skill. Now, ideally something that AI cannot replace or replicate. That's why I love marketing. AI can come up with loads of marketing ideas, but AI doesn't know how to implement marketing ideas right now, right? It still requires us to implement them. So I love marketing because I think even when AI comes along, now AI is a tool I can use in marketing, right? There's no technology that could disrupt the specialist skill I've developed. So become a specialist, because if you're going to build a big business, people need to have respect for you in that field. I easily raised money for helpbank.com. I easily built that business out because I am a specialist in marketing and everybody knows it. Most people when they're building a business have to spend millions to get people to sign up to their platform. I didn't need to do that, and people respected me for that. They know me for that. When you're not in the room, what do people say about you? Because another really important part of being a specialist is also building up a personal brand. Now, hopefully, if you followed what I said earlier and you're cleaning swimming pools and you made viral videos, and I'm picking marketing as an example, it could also be similar in accounts or any other part of business structure, but you've become a personal brand and you can leverage this personal brand to build anything. That's why when I said earlier, even if you're cleaning windows, document it. Show a process that makes you vertical income, right? Now you need to double down on personal brand. You need to invest in personal brand. In whatever format it takes for you. You don't have to make videos like I'm doing. You can perhaps write blogs. You can write deep content that gives people insight into your knowledge and your world. You can share your journey. Sometimes it's as simple as that, so people can resonate and connect to your personal brand, right? You don't need to have a lot of experience to share your journey. That'll build your personal brand, that'll create you vertical income that I mentioned earlier, and allow you, whatever product you're building, to get those products sold. 3 in 1. This stage is about cementing all this knowledge and going big or not bothering, right? The 4th thing you need to do, I think you need to build a board of advisors. So you need to get on board people that have knowledge you don't have or can bring credibility you don't have, because credibility can be brought in. And finally, I think with a board of advisors, you can get the knowledge that you need. Now, I can go into the strategy of how to get advisors on board. It's actually quite simple because it links to what I've been talking about. The basics are align your purpose to the advisor's purpose. So for example, I want to fix the education system. So for me to get advisors, people that also want to fix the education system, that are involved in the education system at Stanford, or what, I can do it because they have the same mission as me. I have a personal brand they respect, and I'm doing the work myself because I'm acting like I've got no money, and I've got the wax on, wax off skills to make it all happen. So a board of advisors can help you get to the next level because they can bring the credibility in the area perhaps you don't have. And if your mission is aligned with them, they'll come on board. There are different financial economic models you can operate for board of advisors. Some advisors want to be paid cash, some want equity, some just want to do it to make the world a better place. I can get into that perhaps another time, but board of advisors I think is a really good way of getting the business to go big. Number 5 in building any business that can go big, in my opinion, is build a community. It's an old word, but today more relevant than ever. I would argue the reason what I'm doing today is working is because I built a community. I've got 4.5 million people that follow me across all my channels, and those people care about the problem I'm trying to solve. So they're engaged and they're helping, they're lifting up the business, they're lifting up what I'm trying to do. If you want to build something big, something meaningful, you cannot do it on your own. Anyone that says self-made millionaire in their bio is a fucking idiot. No one could do it on their own. No one is self-made. It's impossible. Build a community. Hopefully, in the middle ground stage I told you earlier, you've already started that journey by documenting what you're doing. Build a community is key to a big business. Number 6 is brand. When I say to you, do not sell time, buy time, I'm also talking about building a brand of value. People will buy from a brand they trust. People don't realize how powerful a brand is, despite probably every single purchase you've made today is a brand-based purchase. You have some affiliation to either the founder of the company or what that brand stands for from a quality point of view or a mission point of view. Work on branding. When you're building a big company, you've got to make sure that branding resonates with people. And finally, probably the biggest thing you need to learn when building a big business is sales. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, it's not sexy, but this word will drive everything. You need to sell yourself and your mission and what you're trying to achieve to investors, to the team that you bring on board, to potential clients, to the media. You've got to learn to sell. Now, selling is a very, very detailed thing. It can be taught. You are a salesperson. I don't care if you're an introvert or an extrovert, you are a salesperson. I'm going to make a whole video about sales. It's a long process. Huge video about sales I'm going to drop. But I'm going to give you one tip because you might not have time to watch that video right now. Make the sale personal. Dig in. Sell the vision. Sell to everybody the vision. Do not sell, right? A lot of people are, especially in England anyway, scared to sell. Sell. Learn to love it. If you're solving a big problem, you're going to sell. Lean into sales. But there's one caveat. Don't ever want to sell your company. I've sold many companies many times, and the best value I've ever got for a business is when I didn't want to sell it. Build a business you love. Make the sale personal. You might be shocked how much you can sell by making the sale personal. So for example, my book just released. We got #1 on Amazon bestseller list the day it released, without anyone having ever read it, without anyone having ever reviewed it. How do we get bestseller on Amazon? Because I told the story of what the book is there to do, not what the book contains. Book is there to help people learn, give without take, not give and take. The book is there to help people realize that if you give without take, you earn more, you get more. And people buy the book to support the mission that it's time we helped each other. Thousands and thousands of people bought the book based on that idea. Now, I don't want you to sell your business. Build this stage, make this business something you never need to sell. I've built HelpBank to help people forever. I'm not building it to sell it to LinkedIn or any of these other companies. I will beat them, I will compete with them. Now, don't get me wrong. If a big company came along and said they could help us with our mission, I'm not saying I wouldn't consider it. I'm saying the best value I'm ever going to get out of this business, this big business, is not want to sell it. Right? No, none of your employees or your customers want to hear how you look forward to selling this company one day. Right? They want to hear about how you're going to change the world. Build this business without ever thinking about how much money you can make from selling it. Build this business to change the world, and you will. All right. Time for me to go and eat some chicken. Thanks, everybody.